So thank you all for joining today. So this is a webinar covering making tax digital for income tax self-assessment, or shorter known as MTD for ITSA. I'll say that going forward because it's a tongue twister for me to say that in full. A few bits that we'll cover off today then, just a quick agenda. So I've got first intro about me, one of my roles at PS, the MTD timeline, where we're at, where we've been so far and where we're going to go going forward. What is MTD for ITSA? The current system is for submitting tax returns now and what it will be going forward. What challenges you might face, the new penalty system if you don't comply with MTD, any quick FAQs that are most commonly asked questions, how we can help as a counselling firm for you, and our contact details. So start off with a quick intro about me. So my name is Mark Whitehead. I'm the online services manager here at Pierce. I started in January here at Pierce. So my team, we cover off the VAT, bookkeeping, cloud accounting, anything MTD related. Our team is specialists in that area. So we support a lot of our clients at Pierce doing the VAT returns, bookkeeping services, anything to do with cloud accounting. We're the team to go to for that. We're currently a team of 7 people. Like I said, we've got varying levels of qualifications in terms of advisory courses for different softwares. We're pros, I would say. We could know all the courses for each qualification, so you're in safe hands with our team. So we're going to start off really with a quick poll, if you don't mind. Everyone get your phone out and scan that QR code. There is a quick poll on there just to see where you're at the moment with MTD. Are you confident with the upcoming changes? And hopefully by the end of the meeting today, you'll be a bit more confident. So by now, they're going on the mentor.com and putting that code in, or scanning your QR code, it'll take you straight to it. Perfect. So we'll call it there. So looking like as it stands, is 83%, by far the largest. 83% are aware but not confident with what MTD ITSA is. 8% are confident. Another 8% are very confident. So that's by far the vast majority there. 83% are aware of it but not confident with it at all. Which, no, you're in the right place with where we are today. So fingers crossed. We'll do it again at the end of the survey, end of the call. See how more confident you are at the end of that. But it's kind of a good starting point, really. So what is MTD and what is the timeline? So you can see there, this is the timeline so far. So it starts off with VAT. So MTD is also HMRC's initiative designed to make it easier for individuals and businesses to get the tax right and keep on top of their affairs. So you start off with VAT. First of all, start off with VAT registered businesses over 85,000. And now from April 2022, it's all VAT registered businesses, regardless of that turnover. So anyone VAT registered will now be under MTD guidelines and will have to submit their VAT returns through MTD compliant software. As previously, it would be through a spreadsheet, through a cash book, whatever it may be previously. It'll now be through some sort of MTD compliant software. That's what the VAT situation is now. That is then moving on to sole traders and landlords from April 2024. Anyone caught under the threshold, will go through this in a minute. For April 24, we'll be having to do it through some sort of MTD compliant software. So if you're doing it through sort of spreadsheet or cash book now, that will have to change going forward from April 24. So we'll go through that again in a second. April 25, that's from any partnerships. So you have property or your businesses through a partnership set up. April 25, that will apply as well for you. Then April 26, the last one will be for anything else, or all limited companies essentially from April 26. So you have a limited company. So basic point would be VAT registered businesses, sole traders, partnerships, and then corporation tax in April 26. So if you're not VAT registered and you're a limited company by April 26, you'll have to do MTD as well. Chances are, if you're a decent sized limited company, you ought to be caught within the MTD for VAT anyway, so you ought to be doing it. But if you're below that threshold of the VAT registration, you may not be doing it yet, but you will be doing by April 26. So by that point, every business type will be caught with MTD structure. So what is MTD? So it applies for income tax self-assessment. It's next stage in the timeline. It impacts 4.2 million taxpayers. So that's, like I said before, it follows the VAT changes that came into effect from April 22. It means individuals, so sole traders and businesses, they need to use MTD compatible software to keep digital records and submit returns, compared to HMRC's website directly, which is how we do it at the moment for tax returns, or through our software that we prepare for you. So you're mandated to report your income and expenses via MTD for ITSA. If you're self-employed or a property landlord, the total combined turnover of all qualified businesses exceeding £10,000 a year. So if you're a sole trader over £10,000 a year, that will apply to you now. And also if you're a landlord with over £10,000 a year turnover, that will also apply. Just make it clear that's turnover, not profit. So it's regardless of your expenses, it's just your income. It's over £10,000 a year, you will be caught an MTD for ITSA. It's also worth noting that if you have both property and a sole trader, so for example, if you earn £6,000 a year and self-employed and £5,000 as a landlord, combined, they're both caught together, so you'll be over £10,000 of those combined incomes, so you'll be caught going forward. So maybe case individually not over 10,000, but combined you will be, so you'll be also be caught under these guidelines. So it affects, like I said, affects 4.2 million taxpayers, which, as you can see, is quite a lot of people, quite a lot of work to do between now and April 24. So what they'll do, they'll look at your tax returns submitted for April 22 and April 23 to determine whether you fall into those guidelines or not. If either one of those show income over £10,000 a year, then you will be caught with MTD for ITSA and just start reporting that way from April 24. What we are recommending is that you start, if you know you're going to be caught by April 24, we recommend you start in this new structure from April 23, just so you've got a year's worth of notice to get into the right routine going forward. If you're a sole trader, you have a lot of receipts, a lot of paperwork that you kind of throw in a box for a year and forget about it in a shoebox until the following January, this will impact you the most. You'll have a lot of it. It'll be kind of a big change to your current system in terms of make sure you get on track with this and start submitting this information on a quarterly basis. So it's a massive gear change from what you're probably used to at the moment. So I was going to compare the two systems, current to the new system going forward. So the basic current system, you prepare sole trader accounts and submit to HMRC by 31st of January each year. The payment is also by 31st of January. There's no requirement for MTD compliant software. You can probably most likely use a spreadsheet or just a bag of receipts or cash, but whatever it may be. That's how the current system works. You can collect all the income together and put it all in one tax return. That's how it currently works. It sounds quite basic when you compare it to what the new system is. So the new system, again, you have to keep digital records and MTD compatible software. So maybe a case that you input it manually, you take photos of the receipts and upload it to systems. There's various ways you can do that, and depending on which system you use. You can submit quarterly updates to HMRC. So again, it's going from one submission a year to now submitting your profit and loss on a quarterly basis to HMRC. So like I said before, it's not a case of you have to pay on a quarterly basis. It should be still paid by a normal January deadline. You have to submit your profit and loss on a quarterly basis to HMRC. Those period ends don't change. Those period ends are in line with the tax year. So it'll be it'll either be the end of June, first quarter, or you can opt to change that to the 5th of July to be in line with the 6th to the 5th periods, or you can do 1st of April to the end of June, and it'll be the quarterly basis after that going forward. After the 4 quarters, you submit an end of period statement. So that essentially is used to help adjust for any capital allowances, any depreciation, any sort of adjustments you've got, any tax adjustments that we would do for you. That'll all incorporate into the 5th submission at the end of the year. So the first 4 are just your profit and loss with no adjustments for capital allowances. That's also the 5th submission, which is the end of period statement. Then that's due by January, not in line with the 4 quarters. And then the final declaration. So that's a 6th submission in the year. That's going to bring in all your other tax information, all your income from other sources, like a normal tax return would be. So you'd have the 4 quarters for your sole trader income, then the 5th end of period statement. The 6th one will bring in income from all those sources, so your bank interest, your investments, whatever it may be, will all be on the 6th submission. For example, if you've got if you're the landlord and a sole trader, you have to do the 4 quarter submissions twice. One for sole trader, one for landlord. Then the 6th will incorporate any other income you've got from other sources that are already taxed elsewhere. So if you're on the payroll as an employee, but you've got landlord property on the side, you do the 4 quarter submissions for your landlord. The 5th end of period statement. The 6th will then incorporate your P60 information from your employment. So that 6th one will be incorporating all income all together. That's due by the 30th of January. Same deadline there. Again, your payment of tax is also due by the 31st of January. So you have to worry about paying it quarterly. It's all just through the one payment. I would say that's as it is for now. There's no suggestion just yet that we'll change that, but I wouldn't be surprised if make you pay it on a quarterly basis at some point in the future once they're well underway with MTD. So hopefully that all kind of makes a bit more sense. There's various systems you can use. Like I said, there's landlord specific software you can use. There's one called Hammock. This is landlord only. There's various sole trader softwares. We generally use something called Xero. That's what we use for all our VAT returns currently in our sole trader bookkeeping and limited companies for that matter. That's what we tend to use, but you can use whatever you choose. If you're happy for us to do it for you, for example, we would probably do it on Xero. But if you're landlord only and you have a decent sized portfolio of property, Hammock is one of the leading property softwares. So worth looking into them for you. Like I said before, just pay tax by the normal deadline. So that's still 30th of January. Nothing's changed with that one. Just make sure you pay it on time, but you're still going to submit on a quarterly basis before that. So what challenges might you face with this? I guess the first one will be more frequent organisation. So again, if you're in habit of throwing your receipts in a shoebox for a year and giving it to your accountant at the end of the year saying, please do my tax return, that needs to change quite significantly. So you have to submit that information on a quarterly basis. The deadline for submission for each quarter is the 5th of the following month. So we only have, if your period end will be the 5th of April, 5th of May for the first, 5th of July for the first quarter, you've got to the 5th of August to file that with HMRC. So you need to be on the ball with that organisation and getting the records together pretty well. You can't collate it at the end of the year and just worry about it another time. You've only got a month to get that information together. Again, if you're using a manual or spreadsheet records at the moment, to convert that to software is going to be a big change, especially if you're not used to how you used to using cloud software in the past. It will be a big change for you. Again, we can help with that. If you'd rather us do it for you, we can support that. If you're going to do it yourself, then also you'll need to purchase some MTD compatible software. There's various levels, various prices, whatever it is you find that most suits you the most. But like I said, you need to get that sorted out as well. Again, the time cost involved. It will take time to set up the new process, get into a new routine, familiarise yourself with that new software. It will be, like I said, a big change if you haven't used it already. So I would recommend you get into the new routine from April 23. You can sign up for MTD ITSA early. So I would recommend, if you're happy to do that, I recommend you would do that. So you've got a year to get into the new routine now before you have to start submitting it each quarter. Like I said, there will be penalties and something in the future if you don't submit on time, which I'll go through in a second. So I recommend you get on that new routine a year early, especially if you're a sole trader with a lot of expenses, a lot of paperwork. If you're a landlord, you probably won't have that much internal documents, so it won't be too much of a pain, I guess, to get the information together. If you're a sole trader, for example, if you're a tradesman, where you have a lot of receipts you throw on the back of a van, that will be a massive culture shock in terms of what you used to for God knows how many years. That will have to change going forward. There are a lot of systems that you can take photo of the receipts, take photo, upload it to a system, and then you can get rid of the actual paper. And you don't need that. You've got a copy that uploads to the system, so it's much easier to maintain that. You can keep photo of it straight away, saves you potentially losing it. I would say that if you if you do miss some paperwork out of one quarter, you can just add it on after and resubmit that for that first quarter. It's different with VAT, where if you miss documents on the first return, you'll just add it onto next return. It'll flow straight through the adjustment on next return. That's not the case with MTD ITSA. If you miss a receipt, you'll have to add it in and resubmit that original quarter's details to HMRC. So hopefully by the end of the year, you'll have too many missing documents, and you do it on as and when it comes through, rather than storing it up to do it at a later date. So you're at risk of submitting it multiple times if needs be. If you keep missing out documents throughout the quarter. And as I said before, there will be MTD software that's most likely going to cost you. There's various levels. Like I said, if we can do it for you. If you do it yourself, there are various levels, various price packages, whatever suits you the best. So there will be more cost involved, and also the cost and time involved in getting trained up on that new system. So there are possible exemptions, but costs involved and training requirements are not allowable exemptions from HMRC perspective. So unfortunately, in their eyes, you're going to have to unfortunately deal with that and find someone that can do it if you can't do it yourself. That's HMRC's terms for you. Okay, so I covered before about the potential penalties for not complying with MTD for ITSA. Let's go through them right there briefly. Like So it's first introduced in January 23. So from January the next year, they will apply for all MTD VAT businesses. As by the time MTD ITSA comes in, it'll be well underway from April 24. But it's moving on to a points-based system compared to what it is currently. So what that means is, if for each deadline you miss, you'll basically be issued a point for each missed deadline. So before you get any sort of penalties, if you submit a quarterly basis for VAT returns, same apply for ITSA. It'll be 4 quarter submissions. For each one you miss, excuse me, for each one you miss, you'll get 1 point on the penalty system. You need to achieve four points of 4 missed returns before you get any kind of financial penalty. So once that is met, the fixed penalty is £200, and that's £200 per missed submission thereafter. So it's, if anything, I think it's a bit more lenient than what the current VAT penalty system is. Also, there isn't one for tax returns other than if you miss a return, you get a penalty for not submitting it on time. But there's no quarter submissions at the moment for MTD for ITSA. But for VAT, it is anything a bit more lenient for what the current one is. But like I say, it's £200 per late submission and £200 thereafter for each future late submission. So the only way to clear those points off is there'll be a period of compliance of 12 months. So if you go 12 months with no missed submissions, the points will then reset. Within that 12-month period, if you miss another one, then if you miss one, then do it on time. If you miss another one, you're still within that first period, so you'll still get a penalty if you've exceeded that initial 4 points. So essentially, you've got the first year of not submitting on time before you start getting penalties. So it's unlikely to actually get as far as getting a penalty, especially if you've got an advisor to help you through that. Will make sure they get submitted on time. But if you do get penalties, you've got 12 months of doing it on time again before that resets and start from scratch again. And like I said, if you are VAT registered and you are MTD ITSA registered, then there's separate points systems for each one. So there's not a cumulative for VAT and ITSA. It's 2 separate points tallies. So if you do VAT quarterly and you submit MTD quarterly and you miss one but not the other, then it's 2 separate point systems. They don't combine together. Okay, so a couple of recent FAQs, which is the most common questions that do get asked. So again, who is exempt? I mentioned before, it's if you're over £10,000 of income a year, then you have to sign up for it. The exemptions are usually, it's hard to kind of explain really, but hard to justify. But could be eligible for exemptions if you're not of age, disability, or where you live, or any other reasons that you feel it's impractical to do accounting software. I must say we have applied for exemptions in the past for VAT clients. A couple have been accepted, a couple have been rejected. It does depend on case-by-case situations of how you do usually submit your returns. We have some VAT clients that submit it using cash books that we then submit to HMRC through software. That basically doesn't wash with HMRC. If they use us to submit their software, they've got the ability to give us information, then we submit it through MTD software, then can't be exempt from filing through MTD. So there's very limited circumstances that you can be limited for MTD. If you're not sure, you think you might be possibly exempt, we'll ask the question. We can always go through it and see whether that will be accepted from HMRC. I would say the ones I have tried, it's not always worked out so far, so it's unlikely, I would say. But if you think you might be eligible for that, then let me know. We can always have a chat about it and see whether that would wash with HMRC, and you can always try it and apply for it in the meantime. The other question is, can I still use spreadsheets? So you can, as short, you can use spreadsheets still. But those spreadsheets need to be able to be integrated with some MTD compliant software to submit digitally with HMRC. It's called bridging software that you need to use. You basically upload the spreadsheet to the bridging software, then submit it to HMRC using that software. So essentially, if you're going to use a spreadsheet, you're going to have to get separate software to submit it anyway. You might as well get the proper software to submit it through that software rather than use a spreadsheet and different bridging software at the same time. There's no point using 2 systems to submit it rather than just using the MTD bookkeeping software from scratch. It's kind of defeats the objective of doing it really through spreadsheet and bridging software, but it is still an option. There are various free solutions out there for bridging softwares online. HMRC's website has all systems you can find on there, what they would recommend. Well, like I said, I wouldn't recommend it myself personally. I would recommend you using the new system submits the information straight through that. You can use that system to submit your actual tax return as well, depending on what system you use. So it does depend on what system you use, but I would recommend you use bookkeeping software, not the bridging software, to work with a spreadsheet. Okay, so how can we help you? So we do have a variety of packages that we would use. Again, we can tailor a package that suits your needs, depending on our involvement, the complexities, and the volumes of work, etc. So we can either do a full inclusive package. If you want us to do all the work for you, we just get the receipts off you, do it all from scratch, put it in the system for you, submit it on your behalf. If you want to do something yourself, we can then review it for you and submit it for you, or you can do it all yourself and we just do your tax return and not this the quarter submission. So it does depend on what level of input you want us to have and what level of volume of transactions you have, and also how complex your tax return will be. So if you're interested in us doing it for you, we can give you a quote. It will be on a case-by-case basis. If you want to do it yourself, by all means, the options are out there for you. But it may be worth getting that support just to help you, get on the right track in the first instance, at least, just to make sure you're on the right lines. Again, we have we're certified in all the main cloud software. So if you choose to use one, but you're not sure how to do it, we can offer training sessions on that just to make sure you're comfortable how to use it. You can get up and running. We can essentially leave you to that if you're confident with it. We do offer quite a lot of regular training sessions on Xero, for example, for our VAT clients that want to do the bookkeeping themselves, but don't know how to use Xero. We'll offer a training session just to get them comfortable with it, and then we'll also leave them to it then at that point. But more often than that, I would say that we do the bookkeeping on behalf of our clients, both VAT and for tax returns as well. So depends on what level of input you want to have, but we can support either way. Okay, so again, closing poll again. If you don't mind using that QR code again, hopefully I've been through what the new system is and how it will work for you. Hopefully you feel a bit more confident. If you don't mind using that QR code again to see the next poll. Perfect. A few more completed there. So looking at 50% is more confident, 20 much more confident, another 20 slightly more confident, with 10 still no idea. So I would say if you still have no idea, I would say we've got our contact details on the next slide here. Here's my contact details. Here's our phone number and my email address. If you want more information or you're still not sure on what to do, please do reach out. We'll have to go through it again in more detail. But hopefully the majority seem like they're more confident, which is good. But like, if you're not sure what to do yet, then I'll say by all means, there's my email address, there's my phone number. Give me a call. We'll have to go through it again with you. That's not a problem. But fingers crossed, a few more of you feel a bit more confident, which is good. Perfect. That's all from me today. Thank you very much for joining. Like I said before, there's my details. Any questions you've got at all, please do give me a shout. But other than that, thank you for joining and have a good day.